Here with the former champion of the world, Chris Algieri. How you doing, champ?
I'm good. Excited for the show tomorrow night.
I remember watching you fight Provodnikov. I was his sparring partner for Alvarado, and he broke my ribs, so I know how hard he punches. I know how hard he punches. How was that fight?
Man, it was hard as hell. That guy hits hard. Nobody hit me as hard as him, ever. Everybody that I fought Manny Pacquiao, I fought Amir Khan, I fought Errol Spence, I fought Conor Benn. Nobody hit as hard as Ruslan. I mean, the way his power was different. Different.
One of the other questions that I had, how did you start with boxing in the first place?
I always wanted to box, but I grew up on Long Island. We didn't have a lot of boxing gyms on Long Island, and I just started out in the martial arts system, and then went through wrestling in high school, and stayed with the kickboxing then. So basically for me, it was just access. I always wanted to be a boxer. I was a boxing fan myself. I wasn't, there wasn't a lot of kickboxing to watch, but that's just what I had available to me. I had 20 pro kickboxing fights. I won 2 world titles, but I always worked on my boxing, and when I sparred a lot of boxers. Like I'd go to Gleason's gym in Brooklyn to get sparring. I'd wear sneakers and just box with people. So when making that transition wasn't that hard, and a lot of coaches watch me spar their guys, and they're like, for a kickboxer, you got a lot of boxer in you.
Yeah.
So the transition wasn't as difficult as I think it would. You would think it would be. But I mean, I just worked on my craft, man. I love boxing. I've always loved boxing. I studied boxing even when I was kickboxing. So I think for me, it was a lot easier than most.
How old were you when you transitioned to straight boxing?
25.
How was that as a career opposite of kickboxing?
Yeah, it's very, very different. That's the thing that people don't understand. Like, I had 0 boxing matches as an amateur. I had 0 amateur background. My first boxing match was my pro debut, and I fought a guy with like 7 pro fights, and he was a southpaw. He was 6 feet tall.
Oh, man,
but I was like, it wasn't even luck. It was just like the people around me knew I was good. I knew I could fight. We didn't think anything of it. My team, whatever. But yeah, it was trial by fire, man. I had a lot of really tough fights early on. I had to learn on the job. But by the time I got to the point, like getting that Ruslan, I was ready.
The first time I ever saw you fight was Emmanuel Taylor.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel Taylor was a great amateur. He was a great amateur. He had a lot of experience. That was about a 50-50 fight at that time, right?
Yeah, no, most people thought I was going to lose. I was an underdog. And I told my promoter, I was like, I need a big fight, and I need to get on TV. And then the first guy he drew was Emmanuel Taylor, and I was like, oh, because he was a good fighter. I think he was 17-1 at the time. He had 13 or 14 knockouts. He had 2 highlight reel knockouts on TV for on a showbox.
He was popping.
He could punch too. That was a really difficult fight, even though I made it look pretty easy. But it was one of those fights psychologically where I had to really be focused and really dialed in because I knew how dangerous he was. But it worked out. I mean, and they wanted him to fight Ruslan, so when I beat him, I was the next in line.
And when you did fight Ruslan, you had that eye almost closed shut. You were basically fighting with one eye. Mm-hmm. How were you able to kind of deal with that?
Honestly, that wasn't supposed to happen. That fight was supposed to be easy. I was supposed to go out there and box his shoes off, just like I did Taylor. That was the whole game plan. It was a similar game plan. I was like, don't get hit by this guy. Hits too hard. But I got greedy, man. I got greedy in the first round. I was like, I want to see how hard this guy hits. Well, not even that. I just wanted to, see if what they said was true. And I remember he hit me on my elbow, and I felt it in my ribs. And I was like, ooh, yeah, okay, he can punch. I'm like, be careful. But he was so easy to hit that I was like, all right, let me just swing one. Boom. We traded at the same time. His was bigger than mine. He broke my orbital, broke my nose with that shot. And then I just had to deal with that from there. But for me, my mindset was like, man, you messed up. Like, you're not supposed to lose this fight. You can't lose this fight. You got to make up for what happened. So I did.
You did. How's life after boxing?
Great. I mean, I'm still in boxing. Yeah. I don't get punched anymore. I don't punch anybody anymore. I work every weekend. I'm doing 3-4 shows a month. I do my podcast twice a week, Inside Boxing Live. We got our daily shows for Pro Box TV. So I'm still very much in this sport, probably more so than ever, and I love it. Yeah,
boxing is like, once you're in it, you never go away, right?
Nah, man. Boxing will never leave me, and apparently I'll never leave it. So I'm still around.
One last question: who you got between Crawford and Canelo?
Listen, I had Canelo the whole time until last weekend, and now I'm really thinking what I see. If Canelo fights the way that he did on Saturday night, like he did against School, he's going to lose to Crawford. But he should be able to figure out a way to win. I don't think he's going to be the same guy. As we get closer, though, I mean, we'll see. But I was always Canelo, but I'm leaning Crawford now.
You're leaning Crawford now?
Yeah.
You don't think that maybe he just fought to the level of his opponent in his last fight?
That's very possible, but he just looked slower than usual. And he didn't look the same physically. Again, I don't think he's going to show up the same way. But we'll see. It's a real fight now. I didn't think it was.
And no!